to stay serious. Okay, for a second. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being connected to this event with the title An Economy of Abundance, How to Foster Bottom-Up Development. I am Chiara, I'm from the Village Policies for Happiness, and today I'm here with two very, very, very illustrious and important guests, which are Dr. Vandana Shiva and Dr. Pauline Effa. I will introduce them in a second. And we have also to assist us, Lucie and Eugène for the translation to French, and our two discussants, which are my companions in this voyage of Economy of Francesco, Ofer Dotan and Pablo Michel. I will just take a few moments of your time, and then we'll go, I will give the floor to the first two panelists. What I would like to say is basically that as a humanity in general, we are approaching a pivotal moment, okay? And we are called to make very important decisions about economy, about society, about we interrelate with the biosphere and with nature. And we are walking on a very sharp edge, you know? On one hand, we can go business as usual, and then ignoring the cry of nature, the cry of indigenous people, the cry of women, the cry of Black people, and so on. Or, and then we will see we're already seeing the effects, okay? Polar caps are melting, the divide between rich and poor is like growing enormously. We are failing our political targets as society not to crash against the climate crisis, and so on. But then we can also decide to do things differently. And if we decide for this way, then I think that we really can build a different type of economy, a different type of society, and a different type of relationship with nature. And this is really what we tried to do with the economy of Francesco, to regain a bit of that future that our past generation are stealing away from us, to try to rethink things differently. And here today we have two women. I'm very excited to say two women, and two non-Western women here that are already doing that. They are already walking a different path that is not echoing the paradigms that have shaped our past economy, our past societal models, our past educational models. But they are trying really to build a different story, a different narrative, embodying communities, embodying nature, embodying different things that were not there before. So without further ado, I think that I will shut myself up. We all turn off our cameras and mic, except Dr. Vandana Shiva. She is a scholar, a well-known scholar, the founder of Navdanya, a beautiful place to practice the values of agroecology and regenerative agriculture. Also a fearless voice of ecofeminism. And Pablo Michel. He is a Jesuit from Argentina, but living in Chile and also studying theology. So I will give the floor to you and welcome all.
Thank you very much, Chiara. It is a joy for me to join the economy of Francesco, because both through my scientific work as well as my work in the service to the earth, service to communities, service to humanity, I have realized that the best economic principle is what St. Francis gave us. It is only in giving that we receive. Now, the problem is that since colonialism, since industrialism, we've really developed a whole worldview, both scientific and economic, that makes one-way linear extraction from nature and society appear as if it's the economy. But this is not the economy. Aristotle called it money-making. In my recent book, Oneness versus 1%, I have called it the money machine because it works in a mindless, heartless way to keep churning out more and more money by taking from nature without giving back, taking from society without giving back. And all the crises that were mentioned, whether it is the poverty crisis, or the hunger crisis, or even the pandemic, or the diseases from bad food, chronic diseases, or the polarization of society on the basis of economy, as well as divisions around race and gender and religion, all of this is rooted in the idea that nature is dead, people are raw material to be used and exploited. They too are just inputs to the machine. And this machine that I call the money machine, and Pope Francis has said it so beautifully, we have created new idols. The worship of the ancient golden calf has returned in the idolatry of money. In this system, whatever is fragile, like the environment, is defenseless before the interest of a deified market. But it isn't just that money is playing the role of God. Those who are extracting and making money are playing the role of God. I'm reading the book by the two doctors, by Dudna, who got the Nobel Prize in Chemistry this year. And she calls gene editing, which is just with ignorance, cutting genes, as if it's a word program on a computer. And she calls it a crack in the creation, rewriting evolution. And I keep thinking, I said, again and again and again, they want to play God. Green Revolution, they brought miracle seeds. And Borlaug called the 12 people he trained his apostles. That's how messed up they are. When they take patents on seed, which is the basis of my life's work for the last 33 years, a patent on seed is I am the creator. And I joke and say a GMO means God move over. Aristotle put it very clearly that economy or economia is the art of living. And chrematistics is the art of money making. What we call economy is purely a brutal, violent, irresponsible system of money making. The word economy is derived from the same word from which ecology is derived, oikos, our home, our common home, about which the Laudato Si is. But our particular homes, the places where we live. Extractivism has created scarcity. When we work with the earth, when we work with our full consciousness, when we work through giving, we create economies of abundance. I have learned this through my practice. I have learned this through my research. And let me just give you a few examples from our work in Navdanya, the movement for seed saving, agroecology, local distribution, healthy food, not money making, but the art of giving. Giving to the earth, sharing with each other. So when we give a little bit of what the earth gives us back to her as organic matter, she gives us more food. She creates abundance. And all it takes from us is the spirit of gratitude and a spirit of service, a spirit of care. Chemical fertilizers, on the other hand, come from the spirit of war. Or I shouldn't call it the spirit of war, the mentality of war. The same process, the Haber-Bosch process that made explosives for Hitler, also made the synthetic nitrogen fertilizers, which are exploding in Beirut. The same things that make a nitrogen bomb also create a bomb in our farms. They kill Mother Earth with violence. They kill the mycorrhizae and the earthworms. And this then leads to disasters. The soil is getting desertified. The water is disappearing, uses 10 times more water to dissolve these chemicals. Nitrogen oxide is being emitted as a greenhouse gas in addition to carbon dioxide, and it is 300 times more damaging to the climate. My book, Soil Not Oil, and a manifesto of Navdanya International on climate change has shown that at least 50% of the greenhouse gases causing climate change come from the same system that is creating scarcity in land, scarcity in water, scarcity in the security of a stable climate, but also scarcity in seed. It has created seed famine. But when I take a little seed, and I've spent the whole day with my sisters from the mountains, where 33 years ago, those little seeds that are called the millets, because each seed gives you a million in the Italian version of million, not 1 into 10, well, 6, but 1 to 5. Each seed creates abundance. But the urge of the money machine to create scarcity is so severe, they create hybrids that can't be saved. They have patents where you can't save seeds. They want to make it a crime. I see it as a duty. But worse, they tried to create a terminator technology to create sterile seed. Just like now using gene editing, they are creating gene drives to push to extinction. This is not an economy. Of course, with patents, you make lots of money. But you drive biodiversity to extinction. You push farmers to suicide. This is not an economy. In Navdanya, over the last 33 years, we saved the seed. And the seed in its abundance gave us more nutrition. Our research shows that when you don't measure yield per acre of a commodity, but the nutrition per acre of the real food, we can feed 2 times the world's population. We don't have to panic. Oh my God, there's 7 billion, they'll become 9 billion, we'll all starve, therefore eat fake food. No, they're now creating a mental scarcity in food. To say, Impossible Burger will solve the problem of the planet and hunger. No, it'll cause more problem because made of GMOs, which are already causing damage, but made in a lab, already ultra-processed food are breaking our sacred relationship with food. It's not an accident that every religion has the sacred sacrament of food, of bread. We've got to bring the sacrament back in the economy. Because most of the problems of the planet and most of the problems of humanity are related to a food system based on greed. All the solutions for the planet and people come from a food system that recognizes the interconnectedness and sacredness of life. And the 2 principles are diversity and the law of return. Only in giving do we receive. The law of return is basically maintaining the nutrition cycle. At the local level, it maintains the fertility of our farms and can give us 300 to 400% more food. At the planetary level, when these little cycles of nutrition add up, they heal the broken planetary boundaries. And we can actually repair the damaged climate system by taking excess carbon dioxide and excess nitrogen from the air through the plants to the soil, where now it creates abundance of food. But the 2 other things about abundance is we cannot have abundance with broken societies. That's why we must reclaim community. We must reclaim the commons. This urge of 500 years has been to privatize, 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 enclose, 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 own and collect rents. It's a rent economy. The people who are billionaires today don't make anything. They collect rents and lock you into a new slavery. And a lot of this is going very fast forward during this lockdown, where the new raw material is not just our seeds, of course, but the food. Food is being reduced to raw material. We won't have food. We'll have carbohydrates and proteins for processing in a lab. No, we need real food because food is the connection between us and the earth. And human beings are being turned into raw material for data to be mined. This is a moment to reclaim our deep humanity, oneness with the planet, oneness with each other. We are, of course, one species among trillions. And we are one humanity on one planet. And the economy of Francesco shows the way. Thank you.
Thanks to you, Vandana, for your words of wisdom, your seeds of wisdom. I am very happy to be with you from the other side of the world. I'm in Chile now, but we are one here. And well, thank you. I really like what you said about food as a sacrament. I feel very close to that idea, and I think your ideas are very close to Saint Francis as well. I wanted to share with you something we have been thinking in our village with the youth of Economy of Francesco. We have the name of this proposal we have come with is degglomeration. So we are trying to think a way of going away the other way from extractivism, as you have said, and from competition. And we think a way could be like getting away from cities, from big cities, and getting closer to the land, to the earth. Also, we think in smaller habitats, we can foster better relationships among us. And that this, at the same time, can make us more happy and better carers of nature. So we're thinking about this degglomeration. Now, well, I would say it has something to do, or this idea is a friend to the idea of returning to the earth, as you have said. I hope you agree. But we have a lot of questions, like we wonder if this can be an idea for everyone. To start with, many people cannot afford to get away from cities because they need their jobs, they need healthcare services, and so forth. And also, maybe this is an idea that makes a lot of sense in my continent, in Latin America, because we have a lot of space and we have these huge cities that do not work. But maybe it doesn't make sense in India, I don't know, and I want to ask you that. And you know, in very populated regions, can everyone get away from a city? Like, would there be enough space for everyone? That would be a part of a question. And maybe in general, like, do you think degglomeration makes sense at all? Like, what do you think of this idea? That would be my first question.
Yeah. Well, I think people have lived in the countryside most of the time. I mean, look at Italy. It had such beautiful decentralized systems, small communes, because that's where the policies worked. When I went to Rio for the Earth Summit, I realized that there was a big difference because in Brazil, the land had been taken over from the indigenous people and the small farmers and been given to these big, giant landowners, like in Argentina. And they created a new scarcity. And I saw for the first time the large numbers of children on the street. And my little son was with me. And when the children were made to disappear to clean up for the Earth Summit, his heart broke. He said, we don't do this in India. So India has consciously had policies, as long as we were making our own policies, of making sure that the work in farming was treated as the most important work. All our sayings say the most important work is that of a farmer. And then the lowest is the trader. Today we've made the trader the highest, the greedy the highest. And we are now talking of farming without farmers, the digital agriculture. I know they're trying the Gates Ag 1, digital agriculture, no farming. Yeah, they'll do it with drones and spraying Roundup and no responsibility of any kind, and fake food for everyone. My research and all of the UN research has shown that 80% of the food comes from small farms. 2, Navdania's work shows that small farms, biodiverse farms, produce more. The UN data shows that the smaller the farm, the more it produces. This is global data. And the average in India, you know, the beauty of India is we have the average of 2 acres. But we have a model on our Navdania farm, and I hope, you know, if you look at the Navdania website, you'll find the courses we offer. on how on 1 acre you can have a good life. And we do that every year because people come with this idea, small farms can't feed the world. But large farms are highly unproductive, and there's no limit to how much you will invade the Amazon for greed. There's no limit to greed. And therefore, we have the burning of the Amazon. So we have to, you're so right, we have to return to the earth. We have to love the earth and care for the earth. That is the economy. I'm hoping that Navdanya International and the economy of Francesco can join hands to work on a manifesto on the economy of care. My colleague Caroline is in this dialogue, and I hope she will follow up. Most importantly, we need to stop this invasion into forests, into farms, and start working in ways that science has proven that small farms produce more. I also, there's an interesting reset happening from World Economic Forum, Mr. Klaus Schwab has put out. And they put out a video saying, you will own nothing and you will be happy. But they're not saying we will not own anything. They want to own everything, but you should have nothing. I believe that's why I talked about reclaiming the commons. The seed should be the commons, the water should be the commons, knowledge should be the commons, and even land. In India, till the British came, we always said land is the commons. You had use right, not ownership rights. And this privatization logic has reached its climate where 5 billionaires think they want to own our water, our seed, our knowledge, our data, our friendships, everything they want to own for a new surveillance capitalism. Therefore, we must think of new ways to create freedom and the convergence of a spiritual recognition of our power as spiritual beings seeking our humanity, along with the recognition that the earth gives enough for everyone's needs, but not for a few people's greed. This is what Gandhi taught us. And this is what I have learned through our work. And this is what world history has taught us. So yes, we should go back to the land. And because, they are already saying 99% humanity will be useless. So let the 99% go back to the land.
I want to ask you something about that. I would love to take that course in Vandana, but if you could say something like to the youth of the world, many of us live in cities, we're very apart from the earth. We know nothing about seeds. I am very sorry for this, but many times it's true. What could you suggest, in the spiritual direction you were pointing out? What would you suggest, concrete steps to go closer to the earth, getting away from big cities, from capitalism? Since you know how capitalism many times live in us and in a very dominant way. What can we do concretely?
So 3 things is, I think we should give up the illusion that being in big cities is inevitable and there's no alternative. Urbanization has been forced on people by those who want to make money and make you dependent. Because when I organized a rally of 500,000 farmers from India and around the world to prevent the GATT and agriculture becoming a part of a tradable commodity rather than a life and livelihood, here was this ocean, and Jose Lutzenberger, who used to be the environment minister of Brazil, we looked at this and said that this is the ultimate freedom, where I work with the earth and I produce. And that's what they're afraid of, because they want you dependent. They want you under their control. So the city is not inevitable. Second, just recognize we are living in a moment where they want to throw you away anyway. Just read the literature on artificial intelligence and robotics and say, do I want to be a throwaway person for the IT industry, or do I want to be in service of the earth and creation? That's the choice we have. A throwaway person or creative agent with love and care. On seed, I knew nothing. When they wanted to patent seed, 87, I knew nothing about how to save seeds. I learned from people. I learned from the seed. And You don't have to, you have to begin with love, and you have to begin with compassion. And between compassion and love, because everything is living and we were told it's dead matter, the seed comes alive and teaches you. The soil comes alive and teaches you. Your companions come alive and teach you. The world is full of teachers. So do not think of what you don't know. Think of what you can learn, and think of how many places you can learn from. The plants, the animals, the sky, the waters, the rivers, the soil. It is limitless. And we have to begin now. If we have to prevent extinction of our species, like the 200 species that are driven to extinction every day by an economy that is chromatistics and theft, and not the art of living.
Thank you very much for your words. I think our time is up, and Chiara will
Thank you, Pablo.
Pablo, you have been perfect. And thank you also, Vandana, for your words. I found them very inspiring and interesting, especially a couple of things that you said about this rapacious economy. And so I think our viewers and connected now are definitely enjoying this debate. So I don't want to steal the floor to anyone. So I ask now Pauline and Effa to appear on the camera. And I will tell just a couple of words about Pauline while she finds the camera. She found it. That's perfect. Pauline Effa, she's the coordinator of an NGO, which is called PFAC, so France-Afrique Partnership for Co-Development. And this brave woman basically diverted the narrative and decided to bring some entrepreneurial skills back to her home country, so Cameroon, and in general Africa as a continent. So trying to foster a bottom-up approach to entrepreneur, like having an enterprise and conducting business with the local communities over there. So I think she brings a very, very interesting and valuable take on this topic of the economy of abundance and a bottom-up approach. And Pauline, I will mute myself now and disappear and let you talk. I just remember to the audience and to us all that Eugène will intervene from time to time to do the consequential translation to English. Enjoy. Pauline, okay. You can talk.
C'est bon, je peux y aller? D'accord.
Ouais, ouais.
Bah, bonjour à tous. Je suis Pauline Effa. Bah, je vis au Cameroun, en Afrique centrale, et je travaille à développer une autre économie, l'économie sociale et solidaire. Alors, tout part d'un constat, c'est-à-dire qu'on a comme l'impression que les questions de développement ont été pensées la tête en bas. C'est-à-dire qu'on a... Ah, il ne faut pas que j'aille trop vite.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Pauline. I come from Cameroon, and I work on developing a new economy, an economy which is based on solidarity and a social economy, which puts humankind at its center.
Okay. Alors, quand on parle d'économie en Afrique, on ne peut pas ne pas évoquer l'approche de développement. Alors, on nous a toujours parlé du développement de nos pays, et nous, on a eu l'impression que le développement a été un peu pensé la tête en bas. C'est-à-dire que... OK.
We cannot talk about economy in Africa without talking about development. And when we talk about development, sometimes we see that there is something that went wrong, maybe in the way they have been thinking about development.
D'accord. Alors, le développement est toujours partie du sommet des États, c'est-à-dire qu'on essaie d'impulser le développement à partir des administrations. Et on n'a pas toujours pris en compte les personnes à qui on destine ces politiques de développement.
They usually talk about development going from the state level without taking enough consideration of the people who have to benefit from that economy.
Alors, parfois, le développement part de plus loin que les États, c'est-à-dire au niveau international. On a l'impression que tout ce qui est pensé au niveau international voudrait venir s'appliquer dans nos localités sans qu'on ait vraiment pris en compte les aspirations de ces localités.
And sometimes development comes even from farther than the states, because it comes from the international level of the things. And it looks like the states have to put in practice the international theories and teachings about economy, but that puts again further the citizens and the local people who have to be concerned, first of all, by that economy and development.
Et pourtant, on dit bien que tout ce qui n'est pas fait avec moi est censé être contre moi. C'est pour ça que depuis des décennies, on nous parle de développement et on n'en voit toujours pas la couleur.
And as some people say, what is done without me may be also done against me. That's why we are trying to put in front of that thinking about development, the single citizen and the local communities.
Alors, toutes ces pratiques dont on vient de parler ont amené des populations, les communautés à devenir attentistes parce qu'elles ne se sont pas senties possédant leur propre développement. Elles ne se sentent pas actrices de leur développement.
This practice made the citizens and the people not thinking of them as actors of that development for themselves. Many just sit and wait for the decisions and wait for the changings that are supposed to happen, but they don't feel like taking action and participating to those changings.
Alors, c'est la raison pour laquelle nous nous sommes intéressés au concept d'économie sociale et solidaire, qui n'est pas un concept nouveau, mais qui est un concept, si on peut bien y regarder, qui est inhérent à nos communautés, c'est-à-dire une économie pour l'homme et une économie par l'homme.
That is why we have been thinking about this economy, which is social and a standing together economy, which is actually not something that comes from outside, but it's within man and women, because it means an economy which is made by humankind and which is made for the same humankind.
Ça nous permet de développer une économie plus inclusive parce que toutes les parties expliquées et toutes les parties prenantes bénéficier de ces pratiques qu'on met tous ensemble et qu'on développe pour le bien-être de tous.
And this allows us to put together an economy which is inclusive and takes in consideration the different actors who need to be put together and work together.
Alors, c'est cela nous amène directement au sujet qui nous intéresse, c'est-à-dire l'approche bottom-up pour impulser le développement. Je pense que pour qu'un enfant commence à marcher, il commence par ramper, se tenir, et c'est toujours dans le sens allant du bas vers le haut. Et d'où vient-il que le système a développé une économie qui est censée partir du haut pour atteindre le bas?
And this brings us to talk about economy from the approach of bottom up, like when we consider the way a kid grows up, they start by the high level, but they go from down and they raise slowly by slowly.
OK. Donc, à partir de ce moment-là, nous avons commencé par construire cette économie et je pense que c'est une approche qui se veut systémique. C'est-à-dire que nous voulons développer un système inclusif qui permet à chacun du territoire de se constituer dans une entreprise collective qui vise non seulement à renforcer ses propres capacités, mais aussi à renforcer les capacités de toute la communauté.
So as we started talking about this economy, we have also started telling people about this inclusiveness of the system of the economy, which consists in inviting people to be involved in a local enterprise, which teaches them to work together and to be together as a community.
Alors, en créant cette dynamique au niveau des territoires, nous le faisons sous forme de réseau. Le réseau consiste à mettre en place des entreprises collectives au niveau de la localité qui incluent donc toutes les petites activités que mènent les gens dans la localité et qui leur permettent après de se consolider pour pouvoir améliorer d'abord leur vie personnelle, puis la vie de la communauté et pour booster in fine le développement de leur territoire.
And we do this creating like a network between different enterprises, different collective enterprises on the local area, and creating a network of them brings people more together. It brings them to be more united and even to be more productive in what they do.
À ce moment-là, une fois que les personnes sont engagées à travers ce qu'elles font, elles sont engagées dans cette dynamique, elles peuvent donc booster le développement de leur territoire et elles sont suffisamment fortes pour être partenaires des premiers gouvernants que sont les gouvernants locaux, c'est-à-dire les collectivités territoriales décentralisées.
And as long as people on the local level are connected and are productive, they also become able to influence the authorities, but always from the lower level to influence even the higher one, starting from the lowest to go to the uppest.
I think Pauline got a network problem.
Yeah.
Let's try for a second. Okay, she's back.
Then
I shut off my camera. Yeah.
Is it okay?
Yes,
we
Pauline.
had lost you, but now it's okay.
Can you hear? Okay. Ah, d'accord. Alors, on peut continuer? D'accord.
Yes, we
Alors,
can go on.
Développer cette économie en participant de cette approche bottom-up veut tout simplement, en replaçant l'homme en son centre, rejoindre un peu ce que propose l'économie de Saint-François, une économie inclusive, une économie qui ne laisse personne de côté. Et ce faisant, nous voulons permettre à toutes ces personnes qui œuvrent dans la communauté de manière informelle. Le fait d'intégrer cette dynamique leur permet déjà d'acquérir un statut, de pouvoir sortir progressivement de ce secteur informel qui fait l'essentiel de nos économies, mais qui est finalement pas comptabilisé parce que restant toujours en marge du système établi.
So this approach of the economy has as aim to put the human being at the center, and not just the human being being the one who is beneficiating from that economy, but it brings them to be actors and to bring their role, their effort, their participation in involving the global, the national, and the international economy. And working together from the lower level helps people also to increase the capacities of each one, and putting together those involved increased capacities brings to producing more and to being inclusive. I said the economy of Pope Francis, which talks about being inclusive and not leaving anybody outside from what is being done.
Mm-hmm.
Some of your unique experience, and your good spirit is really uplifting, and it is great to just share with you this optimism. I wanted to share something from my own life. So I grew up in a very, very small community in Israel, in the rural north. So I really know the power of a community, and how supportive it can be. And sometimes I know that our community, at least where I grew up, we went into the same direction and we had the same vision. And there were other years where some people in the village wanted to maintain some traditions, and other people wanted to try new things and evolve in a different direction. And what I'm interested to know from your experience, what happens when there is a division in the community? And also, how do you activate people to understand the importance of participation? Because what you said, that if we are not participating, then the development can go against us because we are not there to actively shape it.
Oui, c'est plus difficile encore d'implémenter cette sorte d'expérience dans des villages d'Afrique où les gens ont d'abord en tête des questions de survie. C'est plus difficile ainsi. Mais je crois qu'il ne faut pas perdre de vue qu'ici, nous parlons d'économie. Et qui dit économie dit quand même intérêt. Si vous n'avez pas... Oui. Ah, pardon.
Yeah.
Allez-y.
This approach may be difficult to put in practice, especially in some African countrysides. But we don't have to lose hope, because as we know, we are talking about economy, and who talks about economy talks about interest, and interest is something that is needed by everybody. So we have to be courageous enough to also to include those people from the countryside places, even the forest ones in some African places.
And
oui, parce que oui.
No.
Oui, parce que lorsque vous voulez mettre en place un tel système, vous vous heurtez d'un côté parce que vous devez d'abord amener une certaine déconstruction, savoir vous faire comprendre. Donc, nous avons commencé par former des personnes des localités qui peuvent aisément parler aux communautés et leur montrer l'intérêt de s'impliquer.
And in order to reach our objectives, we have like selected people in those local places who are able to talk to the others easily, so that they be like our messengers to the whole of the citizens in those local places, to explain to them better what the thing is about and to get them involved in the activities.
Thank you. Yeah, as you say, I think it's about trying to find this sustainable way of engaging the community and at the same time keeping the uniqueness of the communities and their own ways. And now a little bit of a different question. So I come from a very different background from the Western world. And I am aware, of course, like all of us, to the very long history of colonialism, which makes it sometimes hard to imagine how can we rebuild trust and evolve forward as one humanity, and to create honest collaborations in which we care for each other and we don't put conditionalities in how we move forward. And I sometimes ask myself, as someone not from the developing world, how can I help? What can we do? So we have audience, we have a lot of young and passionate individuals that want to facilitate good and want to contribute. And I was wondering if you would be willing to share with us your perspective on how can we help in a productive way.
Je pense que vous avez dit le mot. Il y a la question centrale est une question d'humilité. C'est qu'en allant vers les gens, d'avoir toujours en esprit que vous vous enrichissez aussi. En même temps que vous apportez quelque chose à ces communautés, vous en recevez aussi énormément. Et c'est ça tout l'intérêt d'aller faire avec l'autre. C'est-à-dire venir avec l'esprit de faire avec et non plus le simple esprit de faire.
I think that the key word in this should be humility, because with humility, you go towards the people and you feel equal to them, even if you have something to teach and to share with them. And humility allows you not to think that you are just going to enrich those people, but that you are also going to be enriched by this working with them, meeting with them, and sharing the different experiences.
Beautiful. That's it ties so well with also what Dr. Vandana Shiva mentioned about not looking about what we don't know, but also focusing on what we can learn. So the idea that we can always learn and continue to learn new things and engage with one another. So thank you so much for these inspiring words.
Thank you, Pauline. Thank you, Offer. I must say, I have a due introduction to Offer to be given, although it's
Merci.
delayed. Daria, no, merci beaucoup too. She is a, sorry, but it's a due introduction, although it's delayed. She is a master's student in public policy, and she's also a social impact consultant. So you totally see the background, that the background makes sense with the questions that this lady posed. I would like to ask everyone in the Zoom call if they want to appear, to thank for sure our two discussants, Offer and Pablo. Thank you so much. On behalf of the whole economy of Francesco and the village, thank you so much to Eugène and Lucie for your translations. Very precious to make the conversation one. And then I want to say a special thank you, of course, to Pauline and Vandana. Your words were very interesting, I think motivating for all the young people, and not just the young people. This is like something that crosses generations, continents, cultures, and gender, I think. So they were very precious, motivating, and inspiring. And I think that in this moment in which it's crucial that we all activate ourselves to give our contribution to a different view, a different narrative of the economy, but not just the economy, also the way we stay together and the way we stay with nature. Well, I think they are particularly precious and welcome. So I think that our time is over. We have been amazingly on time, almost Swiss, I must say. So I thank you, everyone, and I hope we will meet again soon.
Merci.
Merci, thank you.
Yeah.
Merci
Ciao, ciao.
beaucoup. Au revoir, Offer.
Au revoir.
Au revoir, Lucie. Merci, Lucie. Merci, Eugène. Merci, tout le monde.
Au revoir.
Hi.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye,
Bye.
Vandana.
Bye, bye,
thank
bye.
you.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.